Good morning, good morning. I'm Anita and I'm a life and business coach, and I'm also the founder of Ocean Coaching for your wave of inspiration. And following on my theme at the moment of interviewing absolutely awesome, inspiring ladies in business, I'm today having a chat with Vicky Stanton, who is a success coach like myself. And Vicky has gone from being a natural networker, because we're going to talk about networking this morning, over to owning her own networking groups. So over to you, Vicky, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, morning, Anita. So thanks ever so much for having a chat to me. It's fab to have a chat with somebody that I've known for ages. So like you said, I am a business success coach. So I work with business owners to, I suppose, really help them make more profit, get out of their own way, get more stuff done. But like you just said, I've had my business now for, into my 7th year of business. And all through that time have networked because somebody told me I should. I think that's how I started. Somebody said, you should go networking. And to the point where I actually found a network, which I know we're going to talk about, that I absolutely loved. I belonged to, amongst others, a ladies' network. And actually, after 3 years of being a member, found the opportunity to actually buy into the franchise. And bought the franchise last May. So I've had the franchise now for nearly a year. It is a development, training and network business. So we sort of do more than, I suppose, just networking. But in there, actually helping members to network better. And that's brilliant because it allows me to bring in my own network experience. It allows me also to develop my own networking skills, because I think that's massively important as a business owner of another business, not just networking, and it's great fun.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think you're right. There are many different networking groups out there. You know, you've got your referral organisations, which, as you know, I was a member of for just 6 years. And then you've got your more informal, let's all meet for a coffee and a cake and maybe discuss a little bit of business. And, big organisations and banks now, I've spoken about this a lot recently, are now knowing that networking is where it's at. So they're setting up and putting on networking events. And then you've got mixed groups, you've got ladies only networking groups. And I think the ladies only networking groups are becoming more and more popular, and definitely from a woman's point of view, because obviously most of the people that I work with are ladies. They find that it's easier sometimes to go to a networking event with other ladies rather than being slightly put off sometimes, because networking historically has always been a little bit of a male sort of dominated room or group. And I know that's been the case for lots of the ladies that I've spoken to and helped with their networking confidence. So from going from networking in your coaching business to owning your own networking business, what do you find are the common obstacles for people getting out there and actually networking? What do you find?
Well, I think you've just probably touched on one, and that's the confidence issue. And I think a lot of women, I think particularly, are, whether it's in our inherent nature that we have a slight nervousness, whether it's, I think there's probably more, I might be wrong with this, but more women setting up smaller businesses. Certainly in my area, that seems to be the case. I'm coming across more and more ladies who are setting up their own business, whether that's because they're women returners after having a family, or they have been made redundant because the industries around where I live have started to close. So actually that's an opportunity for them. But I think then, and that probably lends itself, doesn't it? Being made redundant and actually returning to the workplace are two key reasons for actually having a confidence loss. So, I think that's probably one of the biggest stumbling blocks, is actually that I've got to turn up. I don't really know what I'm going to say. That thing that probably we experience with our coaching clients of, I don't want to make myself look silly. So if I go, I could just stand against the wall and maybe somebody might talk to me. And actually, I think there's a massive skill in networking. I don't think it's something that we inherently have, because I think when we're in the workplace, we are put with a group of folk who we have to work with, and we actually go and either have to talk to somebody about the thing that we do, and we know what we do, we know the thing that we do. We haven't got to go out there and get business. We haven't got the fear of rejection. We haven't got the fear of, you know, we might have a fear of looking silly if we've got to present at work. But actually, when you have your own business, it's very much about you. Or that's what people think, you know, and I think half the trick sometimes is it's not about you, it's about the thing you're selling. So to talk about the thing you're selling, don't take it personally if somebody doesn't want to buy it. And I think the other thing that I see as a barrier is that people walk into a networking room with their thing that they're going to sell, whether it's a service or a real thing, and look around the room and go, well, there's nobody here that's going to buy my thing, so clear off. And it's not about that. I mean, you know that, and I know that. It's actually about building a relationship with the people in the room. You know, and I know this is probably going off a little bit from the barriers, but I think the barrier is looking around the room and going, there's nobody who wants to buy my thing. And actually, that's not a barrier. They're all people. They all know loads of people. And actually, you don't know who they might know.
Exactly right.
So I think they're probably the two key barriers, that sort of element of confidence, not knowing what to say and how to just go about networking, and also the barrier of, a bit like, get over yourself in a room. It's not about who's in the room. It's actually think about who might they know. The only way they're ever going to let you near anybody they know is if they like you, they start to trust you, and you're portraying yourself as the genuine person that you really are.
Definitely. And I've come across that so many times in my networking career, my networking life. You know, we would have new people coming to visit the group for the first time, and they would immediately assume that, for instance, I'm just going to use an example, you know, that they might be in financial services, for instance, and they would just naturally assume that the plasterer, the painter and decorator, the electrician and the mechanic are never going to refer to them. How can they possibly give them business? And it's looking outside of that room, because something else that I talk about a lot, and I know you feel the same way, it isn't about going into a room to sell your stuff or your service. It is about building the know, like and trust, building those relationships and knowing who it is in the room that you could potentially refer to, because it's about giver's gain. I know that's a big thing, but it is about giver's gain. So it's kind of about you going into a room, and once you join a group and get to know the people in the group, it's about what you can do for them, because what goes around comes back around, especially in networking. So instead of going to a networking group and looking and thinking, well, that's a tradesperson, they can't possibly help me. You know, for instance, if we use our own trades and our own professions as business coaches, I would never go into a networking room and think, well, you know, the painter chap or the IFA, for instance, can't give me any business, or the person that's maybe networking because they're employed by a bank, for argument's sake. You can't go in that blinkered, because you don't know who they know.
Yeah.
You know?
It's really true, isn't it? Last week I did some training with some of my ladies, and there were 7 of us in the room. And I got to the point of talking a little bit about this. You don't know who knows who. And I said, just get your mobile phones out. And I said, and just have a look how many contacts you've got in your phone. So we went round, and I think we got through, between the 7 of us, just under 3,000 contacts in our phone. And then I said, okay, and is everybody that you know in your phone? Oh, no, I've probably got another. And we reckoned that even if we didn't double it, but we sort of halved it again. So what's that? 4,500 contacts between 7 of us. I said, now, in my whole network in Nottingham, I've got 55 members. So I said, just think then. I said, and it always amazes me when you start talking like this huge number. But if you just go 7 people know 4,500 people, each one of those people might need your service.
Yeah.
It blows me away every time I think about it. And you have no conception of that when you walk into a networking meeting. And I think it's such a powerful message that you just go, wow. Wow. So, you know, I would say anybody listening, just keep that at the back of your head, really, that you just never know who knows who and how many people potentially they might know.
Exactly. Now, obviously, the group that you own is ladies only.
Yes, it is.
Vicky owns the Athena franchise, and Athena, if anyone doesn't know what Athena is, it is a ladies only networking group, and obviously developmental and training. So
yes,
working within a group like Vicky's isn't just about going out and getting business. It is about self-development and learning how to present yourself, learning how to sell your services, but not sell them in a really sickly way. So with regard to ladies only networking, I know you've done lots of networking, you've been in lots and lots of different networking groups. But what would you say are the pros, the upsides of networking just in a ladies only networking group that is a membership based group such as yours? What are the advantages?
Okay. So, and I think the other thing to say that it is professional lockout as well. So we only have one person in each group per profession.
Yeah.
So I think, and this is really from an observation as well as having experienced it as a member, I think there is an inherent difference between how women respond to women and how mixed networkers respond to each other. And I say that because I do currently also belong to a mixed network, which again is membership. There is a membership fee. And I think that what I observe is that women naturally support each other pretty much unconditionally from the word go. So I know there is absolutely this getting to know you, building the relationship and trusting you before you'll probably refer each other on massively. But I think that there is, there's almost like, and again, this is just an observation, so it's not, I'm not sort of saying men don't do this at all, but I just think that there is sort of almost like, we have like an inherent trust of each other from the word go. So I think that's a massive benefit, that people will inherently want to meet with you, want to talk with you, absolutely want to support your business, want to, if they possibly can, refer you to somebody or use your services so they can get a bit of a flavour for what you do. Whereas I think in mixed networking, my experience is that actually people want to build that real trust, know you, get to really like you before they'll even entertain trying your services or certainly referring you to their mate. So I think that's a classic difference. I think then there is this sort of level of bond of sisterhood, and whether that sounds really icky, I don't mean it in an icky way. I think there is this sort of almost this sort of like sisterhood bond. I see it much more strongly in all women's networking to the women in mixed networking, if that again makes sense, because I think women in mixed networking almost have to sort of fit in with the whole network. Although I do sometimes observe the women naturally migrate to talk to other women. So I think there is this real bond of sort of sisterhood between us as women, ladies, whatever I want to call it. And I think also, certainly when we're doing sort of the training or the sharing of what we do, I think people have that natural support and are willing much more to share some of their vulnerabilities than they probably do when there are guys around. And I don't know whether that's inherent of childhood, you know, where we know that, you know, sort of girls in mixed groups don't progress as quickly as all girls or all boys education. So I don't know whether that's an inherent thing just in terms of our natural sex. I don't profess to have that answer, but I just observe that. I think the other thing then is around sort of the lockout process. I think that does work, because I think it focuses people to learning about individual businesses, and I think what it does then do is it allows a really great mix within the group as well. So you get, we haven't got just a whole horde of legal folk turn up. We've got people who've got what I would describe as lifestyle business.
Yeah.
So people who've got multi-level marketing businesses, businesses that are more creative. To those ladies then who've got probably what you would put in the professional categories, so accountancy, the legal profession, banking type. So we get a really, really good mix. And I think that actually then helps that skills transfer and support of each other, because everybody brings a different skill set, mindset as well. I think different mindset as well, to the meeting, and referrals happen really naturally. So we don't have any, so like other organisations where there is a requirement to refer or give testimonials, it happens very organically in Athena because we don't have that pressure.
Yeah.
So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it did, because there does seem to be an awful lot more ladies-only networking groups. I don't know of any male-only networking groups. If someone's watching this video replay, they might tell me differently. But
yeah, well, I think there's sort of like the Masons, aren't there?
Yeah.
I think Masons and Rotary, I suppose, that are networking in a sense.
Yeah.
I think they've got other things going on as well. But I think so. But yeah, very interestingly, Jacqueline, who owns the Athena Network, they just set up a male-only network, and nobody was interested.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Absolutely
bizarre.
So
I just wonder whether there is a real inherent need for women to have the opportunity to network with other women, but maybe men don't have that same need.
I think you're right. I think there is that whole sort of sisterhood. I think women are definitely evolving, and because there are more, as you touched on earlier, there are more and more women that are either making the leap or returning to business after a break, looking after family and children, and they want to be with other ladies. And I think one of the biggest things before we finish, I just wanted to touch on, especially with groups like yours that you're running, when they're ladies only networking groups, there does seem to be a little bit more of this whole empowerment, empowering women and supporting one another. So it could even be where it isn't just about business anymore. Networking isn't, in most groups, it isn't just about business.
No,
it's about those levels of support. And as you said, if you've got, for instance, going back to my B&I days, our solicitor that we had in the room, yes, I passed him business and referred him to clients and family, but equally, there were times when I used him from a level of support or just asking a question, when I needed a legal answer. People within those networking groups do all learn from one another, and it is just because you're having a coffee with someone and this is what they do, they're an expert in their field, you're going to ask them the question. And sometimes it is just a conversation that might not ever lead to business. But again, it's building that know, like and trust, and knowing that could potentially lead to some business.
Yeah.
And I would say anyone that's thinking about going out networking, do some research, talk to either myself, talk to you, because the area that you're in, and obviously you own a networking group, and don't be frightened to just get out there and just try it. Just find a group and just go along and see what happens.
Yeah, and then try 2 or 3 more, because I think different networking lends itself to different people and personalities. And I would always say to anybody, try 2 or 3 before you make a decision and a commitment, and look at what you're committing to. So I belong to 3 networks. One is a very local network, and we just pay a standing order every month for 2 meetings. but actually, if you can't make it 1 month, you just don't turn up. I then belong to For Networking, which is much more free and easy, I suppose, really. There is a structure, it is a membership, but you just book in and go to whatever meeting you want to go to. And therefore you see lots of different people each time you go to a meeting. And if you don't go, actually nobody cares, in the biggest sense, I mean. Yeah. And Athena is a membership organisation. If you can't go, you are asked to send somebody to represent your business. Yeah. So there are different commitments. So I think look at the different commitment level, the different cost, and actually, you know, at the point of networking, yes, okay, we all go to get business. I think it's bigger than that, like you've alluded to. But actually, you've got to get a return on your investment. And whether that is self-confidence, actually getting your business known, raising your profile, making business connections, getting suppliers, or getting business, they're all ways, aren't they, of measuring your investment. It's not always about money out, money in.
No, exactly that. Well, thank you so much for today.
You're welcome.
And I will pop a link into Vicky's social media and her website. So if anyone wants to know more about what Vicky does, or indeed if you're in the Nottingham area and you want to pop along to one of her networking meetings, you'd be equally welcome. And thank you very, very much for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Anita.
Speak soon.
Bye.